So we're taking a look today at a Hikaru Nakamura game. Now he recently got married, so congrats to him and his new wife, and in honour of that I thought let's check out some of his finest chess, and we're rewinding here to one of his greatest ever attacking games. He played it in 2010, his opponent was Boris Gelfand, and Boris was at the height of his powers at this time. So Boris played a world championship match against Anand in 2012. This is 2010, it's the World Team Championships, and as we see on the board here, Hikaru plays his favourite, the King's Indian defence. He's been playing this since he's a kid and he's a real expert. And this is just one of those model King's Indian games, right? So we see here castles, bishop e2, and in a moment the centre gets locked up, both players start attacking on the flanks. So e5, main move, looks like you're ditching a pawn, but actually if white tries to win it, then this is the counter shot. You win back the pawn, you open up the bishop to recapture the knight. Won't keep going on the lines, but that's the trick. So what does white do after pawn e5? Well, they simply castle. Sorry, I skipped a move there. So they castle, and now we see knight c6, pressuring that centre, inviting d5, which Boris plays here. This is all main line. The centre's now closed, and this is where the pawns start rushing on both sides of the board. So knight d2 played by Gelfand. You can also go knight e1, very main move. b4 is a move that I play a lot myself, the bayonet attack. They're all kind of similar themes. But here we have knight e8 from Hikaru, so unleashing the f-pawn, b4 and f5. Here we go. So c5 now played, and this was the point of Gelfand's knight d2. He wants to bring it to c4, where it starts pressuring this square. So knight f6 now from Hikaru. He brings that one back into the attack. We get f3 to support the centre, and now f4 again can look a bit weird when you're not familiar with the attacking ideas, you know, to lock up all the pawns here, make this bishop look really bad, but you do open this one into the attack, and black's got this whole idea now of just running those kingside pawns. So knight c4 from Gelfand, g5 played, a4, now knight g6, bringing in an attacking piece, bishop a3, lasering down that diagonal towards the rook, and so Hikaru just takes a time out here. Rook f7, very standard defensive idea. Sometimes you defend this key square, you free the bishop to come back here, and the rook can then swing to g7. So we see b5 played, and now Hikaru again, he just takes a time out. There's a ton of pressure on this d6 pawn, and if you go bishop f8 already to defend it, then b6 starts getting really problematic. You know, white's first to the punch, ripping open all the lines. So coming back here, Hikaru takes on c5, the bishop recaptures, and only now does he crack on with pushing those kingside pawns. a5 from Gelfand, g4, b6, now we're at the absolute climax of the game. And what does Hikaru do? Well, not what you might expect, you know, something like takes to rip open lines towards the white king. No, he pushes on here with g3, again setting up this dark squared pawn chain, and there's a trick in the air, because what do you think black plays if white tries to keep things closed with pawn to h3? So there's a great attacking move. Anyone familiar with King's Indian positions will know that there's this bishop move, takes on h3. You're ripping open that king, and then you've got this silent and deadly queen move, attacking this pawn, then looking to get in here. And if you try and defend with the king, well, the knight hops in, and you're just in a world of pain. You know, it's mate soon, or you have to start going rook f2, giving up entire rooks. So these are the kind of key attacking ideas. That's really good for black. So no h3 from Gelfand, he just plays this quiet move of king to h1. Great move, best in the position, and now if you take, well actually it's not so dangerous, because the pawn sits in front of the king, keeps it defended, and now white starts attacking first with a move like knight to b5. The queen side starts collapsing, this pawn gets really dangerous. So coming back here, Hikaru just goes bishop to f8. So he's challenging this one here, and d6 is now played by Gelfand. Such a great looking move, you know, going right at the heart of the black position. opening up this d5 square as well, and Hikaru plays the absolute best response, because if you capture this pawn, then you're allowing the knight to hop with initiative against those key pieces for black. This is really good for white. So, no takes on d6. Hikaru takes on b6, hitting this bishop, but we don't see recaptures, which is the obvious kind of move, because then black can take here, forces queen recaptures, and now you can take on d6, because the queen's left the defense, that pawn can't be recaptured, you know, you've got to retreat the bishop, not so good. So coming back here, Gelfand did not capture on b6, he played the best move and immediately retreated his bishop back to g1. Again, if take, so what? White just jumps out with the bishop again, and you're just shutting down all the lines of attack. So what does Hikaru do? Well, knight to h4. And this is the move of a man who understands the position. You know, he doesn't carry on pushing the pawn. He wants that square for his knight. And now we're coming to the critical moment. So rook e1, played by Gelfand, preparing bishop f1 to slide back into the defense, and we now get one of the most remarkable series of moves in chess in recent times. So what do you think Hikaru plays in this position to get at the white king? So the move he plays is knight takes on g2, and well done if you got that one, but can you see all the follow-up moves? Now, if white takes that knight, which was not played, there isn't actually an immediate knockout blow. So I'm running this here with Stockfish 16, you know, I went to depth 22, 23, and it gives this rook g7 move as the main attacking idea, threatening to take here, rip open lines, and if white takes here, which is best, then queen e8 is a really key idea, transferring into g6, getting at the white king. Now white does have this series of basically only moves to survive the attack, but it's not completely obvious any of it, and you know, it's just a different game, but a huge attack for black if the knight's taken. So Gelfand didn't take the knight, he took on c7 immediately, hitting the queen, perhaps expecting Hikaru to move that queen, you know, maybe take here and then rook recaptures, you know, whatever. But Hikaru did not do that. He takes on e8, and this is the first moment where the queen is hanging. This is sacrifice number one, right? Now, you can't actually take that queen, or g2 is literally checkmate, because the pawn's supported by the knight, the king's boxed in the corner, really beautiful. So instead, we see the queen taking on e1. Hikaru still pushes g2 check anyway, drawing the king out of its hiding hole. So the queen is left on prise a second time, although of course you can't actually take the queen, you're literally in check. So we have king captures, now there's a rook check. So this is the third time that the queen is on prise. Yes, you can't take it, it's in check, I appreciate. But here, you can genuinely take the queen because Hikaru goes bishop to h3. But still, it's no good taking. Bishop g2, checkmate, is threatened. So we see bishop f1, defending that one. And now the next move is not easy to spot. It's the top move. Hikaru played it. What do you think he played here to continue the attack? So the move he played is the awesome queen to d3. I mean, look at that. Because again, you cannot capture or you're literally getting checkmated. And then what else to do? If you capture this bishop, still problems, working on the same theme. You check, the bishop blocks, and you force the mate. You know, it's amazing how boxed in this king is, right in the corner of the board. So after queen d3, Gelfand went for this knight takes on e5. He hits the queen, and now again, we don't see the queen move. This is the 6th time that the black queen can be taken by a piece. Here Hikaru takes on f1. Once again, if you take, the bishop spins back, and that's checkmate. So the queen captures. Does Hikaru take here? Well, no. He takes on c3, of course, hitting 2 pieces as well, or mainly the knight's unprotected. So the rook now comes to c1. It leaves the knight to be captured, but then the pawn promotes. Hikaru captures, rook captures. However, here Gelfand is a whole knight down, and after queen e6 from Hikaru, Gelfand resigns the game. Why? Because the rook has to move. You're then going to take here on the next move. So Hikaru would be a knight and a pawn up, and white still got the king in the most danger. It's game over completely. I hope you enjoyed this amazing game. Do check out another game on screen if you want to see more epic chess, and I hope to see you again on a future video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.